You're watching HQ Spotlight. College football this week brings us an SEC Classic, and we head to the great city of Jacksonville, Florida, for Florida, Georgia. I know it's technically Georgia, Florida right now this year, but I went to Florida, and it will be Florida, Georgia ingrained in my mind forever for me. So just cut me some slack, will ya? UGA looking for a 5-game win streak against Florida. That's why you need to cut me some slack. For the Gators, cut me some more slack because it's their first game.
Be nice to
their
Jacqueline.
First outing since firing Billy Napier. It's all going down Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, and man, it was nice to have a bye for the Gators last week so they couldn't stress me out, and I feel like I'm going to be stressed again come Saturday around that time. So let's get to it with the preview. We have our college football analyst, Shehan Jeyarajah, and Chip Patterson. Guys, thanks for joining to be my therapy session during this whole segment, right? The Dogs have won 8 of the last 9 since 2017. Oh boy, if Florida wants to pull off some sort of a miracle, Shehan, we are looking at DJ Lagway to lead the way, right?
Not only are you looking at DJ Lagway, you're looking at those tremendous freshman receivers, Dallas Wilson, Vernell Brown. You saw in that upset that they had against Texas earlier this season, they're on track to be some of the best freshmen in the entire country. They did a tremendous job of causing Texas issues in the secondary. And by the way, I will say, Texas, at least heading into the year, was regarded as having a better secondary than what Georgia has shown to this point. They've been a little susceptible against the pass in 2025. So if Florida wants to pull the upset, yes, it's going to be on DJ Lagway, but it's going to be on those weapons that have continued to come along across the 2025 season.
Yeah, you know, there are some vibes to this in terms of what are we going to get from a dead cat bounce? What are we going to get from a Florida team that has had so much time to process the Billy Napier firing? Also a Georgia team that, let's be honest, has maybe played a little bit down from some of the dominant status that you might have guessed given the talent coming into the year. But what the team has shown us in performance is they are gettable through the passing attack. Now, not always for 4 quarters. Sometimes it comes in fits and starts. But whether you look at Tennessee or whether you look at Alabama, there were opportunities. And to Shehan's point, that's when we need those Florida wide receivers to be able to make some big catches. That's where we need the line of scrimmage to be able to hold up against Georgia to give DJ Lagway some time so he's not thrown off his mark. This is a Georgia team that has just left the door open just enough against lesser competition that all of the rivalry impact of it with a combined with an efficient performance from DJ Lagway. I mean, Jacqueline, this is a stress-free house money game for the Gators. You should feel better about their chances to win now, given all of the outside noise has been calmed.
You know what, Chip? I've been playing with house money in terms of this matchup for the last decade of my life. That's how it feels every single time, right? I know we kind of touched on, you know, what does Georgia have to do if they want to avoid an upset or if Florida wants to get a win, but I want to circle back to DJ Lagway really quickly because his development and his dedication to Florida has been largely tied to Billy Napier, who recruited him, right? So, Chip, what are your expectations for DJ in this game? I'm so curious to see his vibe, what he's going to look like, because we know he has had nothing but complimentary things to say about Billy Napier, who is no longer his coach, and we're going to see him on the field for the first time since that all went down.
Yeah, I think this is one of the joys of being a young person and being in college and having the messaging of that Florida program being very much tied to what is happening right now, be where your feet are, whatever coaching cliche you want. What is my expectation, Jacqueline? My expectation is more the same. He's been imperfect. He has shown us flashes of the excitement that we had in terms of the growth that he would have from 2024 to 2025, and I think we'll get the same. If he has poor decision-making, it'll be like the LSU game, and we'll see a bunch of turnovers. If he's able to utilize his athletic talent and his arm ability and those great young wide receivers, well, then he could end up having not necessarily an overwhelming day, but an effective enough day. My expectation is that the real noise and the real pressure about DJ Lagway and his future, that'll really ramp up as we get towards the end of the season in those very final weeks. But as we sit here, I think the stage and the opponent are really going to help Lagway be able to focus in on this game specifically, in which case, again, it will be a potential but imperfect showing from the young quarterback.
And by the way, this is one dynamic that I'm fascinated to keep an eye on. People have wanted Billy Napier to stop calling plays for a long time at this point. Well, guess what? Billy Napier ain't going to be calling the plays on Saturday. It'll be interesting to see, do we get some Rob Sale? Do we get Billy Gonzalez involved in play calling? But I do think that there's going to be a little bit of a different approach when it comes to play calling than what we've seen the past couple of weeks, right? I think that it's hard to be a head coach in this area. I mean, we're having this conversation with somebody who's as good a play caller as Steve Sarkisian. I don't think that Napier was ever that at Florida. To have somebody who can maybe focus in and try to make the game just a little bit easier for DJ Lagway could be a huge advantage in this one. I expect them to mix things up a little bit more, lean on some maybe shorter term passing situations, create some makeable opportunities for Lagway to get his confidence up. And again, if his confidence gets up the way that it did against Texas, there are holes to be had in this Georgia secondary. So I'm excited to see what he looks like, to a certain extent unencumbered from Billy Napier's play calling. And I think that it makes for an interesting dynamic heading into this match against Georgia, where really there's no way to plan for what's going to happen.
Yeah, you know what, guys? Mix things up. Those are some words that are like music to my ears after watching so many run plays for a gain of 2 on 3rd and long, time after time after time. I'm ready to mix things up, right? I know we already talked about what Florida has to do in order to kind of get a win here and what they need, but Shehan, talk to us from the Georgia perspective of it all, because maybe some more pressure on them. They've been pretty dominant in this series over the last 9-10 years or so. So how does Georgia take care of business and really avoid an upset here in this spot?
Well, when you are the better team, when you are the more talented team, when you're the team with a lot more to prove, what you want to do is limit the uncontrollables. You want to slow down the game. You want to win with your lines. You want to win in the trenches. And I think that Georgia has shown some real moments of being dominant in the running game. It hasn't been consistent enough, but you've seen flashes of it. And this Florida defensive front has dealt with injuries over the past season. I mean, really, the past 2 years, if you really want to get into it. I think that this is a game where Georgia's offensive line needs to take over, and you need to make the game easy for Gunnar Stockton. I mean, he's done great work when he's been given time, when he's been able to go down the field. I think the addition of Zachariah Branch has been a huge moment for this program. But again, you don't want to put your defense in susceptible spots. You don't want to give Florida too many extra plays. Slow down the game, slow down the tempo, control the clock, and just walk away with a victory.
You need to eliminate their will to compete. You need to make them quit. You need to tell them, yeah, you got an interim coach out there. You don't even want to be on this field with us. I mean, that is right out of the Kirby Smart playbook. It's like, you really want to take all the physicality and all the brutality of what Shehan was just talking about, right? Mash them at the line of scrimmage. Run the football. Wear their tails out. All of those things that you hear college football coaches talking about, all of that is on the line when you've got this matchup right here. Because if Florida has a little heart, if Florida's got a little spunk, then the moment, the stage, the rivalry, they could rise up and they could cause a problem and they could upset the Georgia Bulldogs. But if Georgia comes out and they are winning on 3rd down, and they on both sides of the ball, running the football effectively and coming up with those kind of plays that just make it seem like it's going to be an uphill battle all afternoon long, you start to introduce some dangerous words in the mentality of the opposition, like for who, for what, especially given the current state of the interim coach. So yeah, every bit of it, man, just make this violent, make this physical, and just really challenge how much Florida wants to be a part of this game. And those are all things that Georgia preaches. They don't always put it in practice every single Saturday, but if they lean on those foundational elements of the program, then they should be able to avoid the upset.
Chip, we got to make sure you were nowhere near the city of Jacksonville and nowhere near this Georgia Bulldog locker room.
That man is away with words. It's crazy.
For real. You're like preaching there. I'm ready to run through a wall, and then I got to rein it in and realize that you're talking against my team here, right? Speaking of my team, they're 7.5-point dogs here. Chip, I'll come to you first, man. Give us a pick. How do you think it all shakes out?
I do think Georgia is able to run the football effectively. We saw that be a key against Ole Miss. We saw that even though they lost as something that was a real strength in a game against Alabama, a one-possession game as well. I think that that's where we see the dam break. I think that's where we see them let go of the rope. I'll take Georgia. I'll lay the points here. I think it's competitive for a half, so let's treasure map it, Jacqueline. We're going to go Florida first half, Georgia full game, parlay them together for a nice little payday.
I think that's a good way to think about it. I think that, 7.5 is a really good line. I could see this teetering right on the edge of it. I think that Georgia ultimately pulls away and it ends up being about a 10-point game. I expect Florida to take some shots early. I mean, we've talked about it. They have nothing to prove. They're playing with house money at this point. I think, though, that ultimately the physicality, the excellence of Georgia comes through. It ends up being a lower scoring game than expected, and Georgia just covers.